Alright, I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. Alright? So, what I'm talking about is the Mighty Ducks, the Game Changers. And when that was first announced, I got frustrated. Not completely angry, but frustrated because the Ducks have become the institution, what they were fighting against to begin with. There's going to be this new team. It's not the Ducks, it's the main focus, and it's just like, but it's called the Mighty Ducks. So what are you doing? And then I started watching it. And right away, it felt off. Because you had Gordon Bombay hating hockey, hating kids, and just being a bum, eating everything in sight, which, if this wasn't Disney 2021 Disney, he'd be an alcoholic again. Yet they do have beer later on in the season, in the penultimate episode. Coach T, who's the coach of the Ducks, he has a ever-changing glass of beer that's full in one shot from head on, and then when it's shot from behind, it's lower, and then head on, it keeps changing. That's what happens when you do too many takes. But they don't really draw focus to it, so maybe that's why you can sit there. They don't call it beer, it's just a yellow foamy beverage, but you know what it is. They have me eating food instead of being an alcoholic. And I'm going to go back to what I said in my initial thoughts video. I want to credit the distracted nerd because I agree with him. It feels like it should have been Charlie Conway. It's like they were going to do this with Charlie Conway, and then they couldn't get him to come back, or someone told him, no, it has to be Gordon Bombay because he's the star of the franchise, and then didn't change anything in the script. Other than a story of what... so supposedly, what had happened is Gordon went to bat for a kid who couldn't afford something, and he let him play anyway, or he paid something, and I guess that was illegal, and he lost his license to coach hockey. I don't understand how helping someone can be against hockey regulations. I don't know. But that's why he hates hockey and hates kids. It's a flimsy reason. It's a flimsy reason to have him back in the dumps again so that the new Ducks, the Don't Bothers as they're called, which had me scratching my head when we're called the Don't Bothers. I'm like, that's not what I thought you were going to be called, because it's called Mighty Ducks, the Game Changers. So I thought they were going to be called the Game Changers. That makes too much sense, though, right? So they're the Don't Bothers. For then. There's an episode in which they bring back some of the original Ducks. You have Guy Germain. Eldon Ratliff Henson, who played Guy Germain. You have Connie Morrow, Dave/Lester Averman, Fulton Reed, Ken Wu, which it feels like that because they couldn't get one of the original Ducks back, he had to be a substitute, because they're all original Ducks, except for him. He's one of the ones that came in season 2. Like most of the original ones, you got the Cake Eater, you got Guy Germain, you got Fulton Reed, Averman, Connie. They're all there. And then you have Ken Wu, which I guess they needed one more. They wanted 6. I don't know. Delicious, by the way. I don't know. Obviously, they're not going to have Goldberg come back. His actor's having problems, although inviting him back could have been something. But I guess Disney's like, no, he's a drug addict, which he's clean. But, Sean Weiss, he's clean, but Disney doesn't see that, so. And no Charlie, which I kind of saw it coming because Joshua Jackson's kind of maybe busy doing something, but they wrote him out by saying that he doesn't have like faith in Bombay anymore. And then this episode ended up being about, you know, praising Bombay because for some reason the hockey organization doesn't see Bombay as doing anything for the Ducks. They were honoring Coach T, who has done bumfuck anything for the Ducks at this point. And not Gordon, who, if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a Ducks team. Remember that. Yet, no, nothing for him. But the Ducks, the original Ducks, they come up to bat for him. And they get him honored, which is cool. And then in the last episode, they do. We'll get to it. So, the story is that there's this kid named Evan Morrow. He plays for the Ducks. Because he's not as good as Coach T wants him to be, he's let go. And then in a later episode, he starts to get better. Because anger is a good motivational tool. And Coach T wants him back. That kind of thing. And when I saw them, oh, we're doing this, really? And then there was this thing with a video that was taken because you saw people with phones. And I'm like, oh, that's going to come back. And then most of the episode, it didn't. I'm like, okay. And then at the very end, after everything has been done, after he's decided, no, I'm not going back to the Ducks. Don't bother. Then the video gets brought up. So then they're all mad for an entire episode of filler. So 10 episodes in this season, they got to do a filler episode. For 10 episodes. They didn't have enough story. They had to do a filler where everyone's mad at him. And they go to a pond. Episode 8. Does that make any sense? But I guess that's what happens. He coerces another Duck player, Sophie, to come over to the Don't Bothers because it's more fun. Her parents are the kind that say, no, you have to succeed all the time, and then they get better by the end of the season. And one thing I didn't understand. So, they were recruiting players. There's this guy named Koob. He's basically a Goldberg clone. He's a big guy. And they show that he can catch things really fast. But then when it's time to show what the Ducks can do, or the Don't Bothers can do, he can't play with shit. Because we gotta have them all be shitty hockey players. Even though you just showed us he can catch anything really fast. Yet he can't do it. You have to have Gordon teach him how to catch. And I'm going, but we saw. That's why they picked him. Because he could do that. I just don't understand. Why they could show us he could catch anything really, really fast. Yet when it's time to play, nothing. And yes, they're the outcast. There's the geeky girl who wears a cape. There's a semi-popular girl who just wants to play hockey. There's the Sophie, there's Evan, there's the guy, what's his name? Josh, Jake, Derek, I don't remember his name. That used to be at the announcer where he's friends with Evan. So now he's going to play, and there's the new kid who can't play, but he's going to learn to play. It's just, the outsiders. The kind of, rough, around the edges type, but they're going to succeed in the end, kind of characters you see in the Disney movies. Stuff like that. So it works. And they eventually not only get themselves together, but Gordon as well. And then, towards the end of the season, they do a thing where the mom, played by Lauren Graham, she gets too ahead of herself. She gets, because she... And I don't know why they just don't have Gordon be the coach. Because once he's ready to help, he's ready to help. But yet, she's still the main coach. And she doesn't know anything about coaching. She gets help from Gordon. And then, Logan, that's the new guy. He wants to play. She won't let him because they're winning. And he's the worst player on the team at this point. But due to a trick from Evan, he's able to get in there and do his little serves up. They get their own little moves in this. There's the serves up thing that he has. And I think that's about it. But, there is one that comes back in the finale. So the finale sets up in the episode before that, where Gordon and Coach T are talking, he tells Coach T what happened. And Coach T, of course, is faking to be friendly so he can get information. And he tells the board so that Gordon can't coach. Alex comes in because she's a lawyer who works at Duck First Savings and Loan, by the way. And tells him, you know what? Basically tells him that like every team there has been scouted except for the Don't Bothers. So, your thinking is, so that means they can't play. But they do still play. Except it doesn't matter. Because for some reason, they decided that they were going to have Sophie get so injured that she couldn't play because there's no 10 players. I'm like, okay, they're going to have like a surprise player show up, or it's going to be that announcer girl with the glasses. No, they just don't play, and the Ducks win by forfeit. And of course, he's up there, he's all celebrating, but he didn't actually win anything. I don't think it would happen like that. It's a championship game, televised to how many countries? No way they're just going to say, oh, team forfeited, we can't do it. Bullshit. There's no way. They'd have another team come in or something. They'd have the team that the Ducks beat, or that the Don't Bothers beat, go up against them. They wouldn't just say, oh, you win, and we're going to lose lots of money for television stuff. Just, you win. There's no way they'd do that. No way in hell. And then we do have our game against the Ducks. And it's 9 out of 10. Because it's not an official game, but it's for the name of the Ducks. And if the Don't Bothers win, then they're the Ducks. If the Ducks win, then the Don't Bothers are out of the league. And yes, you can see what happens. And it's just like the movies. They're in the game. They're losing their shirts. And then we get to halftime, and they go into the back for a big speech. And then out comes the box. Inside the box is shirts left by the original Ducks. Now, unlike other of the Duck movies, it's not jerseys with their names on them. It's jerseys with the original character's name on it. You don't know the expression on my face when I saw that Evan had the Captaincy on. And I'm like, wait. Because I noticed that one of them had Morrow on her back. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I saw that Evan had the Captaincy because he's the captain. Even though he said that Sophie could be the captain. But like, he's not. And they showed him behind. It said Conway. I'm like, how'd they get all their shirts? And how are they the exact same size? Goldberg and Coob, I can believe, because they're both big guys at that point. But no. And they win the game. They do their own little thing. Evan gets a score, and then I forgot his name already. Logan does the little serving up thing, and then to win the game, Flying V. I'm like, no. Because they did the thing where they went around and they came around and I'm like, oh, I'm like, no, they're not. And they go, Flying V. I'm like, I was crying by the end of this, okay? A show that I hated on when it was first announced had gotten me by the end of it. It hooked me, it drew me in, and this is the Mighty Ducks. They're the Ducks by the end of this episode. They beat the Ducks, they're the new Ducks, we're in the old jerseys, and that's how it ends. This show got me. It has the heart of the original. Stephen Brill, who was a producer of the original trilogy, came back for this. You always say you don't want to come back for something unless you're going to do it right. And they did it right. As skeptical as I was, they convinced me they knew what they were doing. The only problem I have is the Gordon situation. They didn't have to do that with Gordon because his story was already done. It was already done in the original. He went through, by the third film, he was a success. He had moved on with his life. He wasn't in the trash. His life wasn't in the trash like it was in the first film. And then he just had to redo that again. Well, hopefully, if they get a second season, which I hope they do, they continue this. And hopefully they can get Joshua Jackson back and they can kind of build on rebuilding the relationship between him and Gordon, because I would love to see that. But this was pretty good. I really enjoyed it, watching it for the past 10 weeks, and I'm looking forward to watching more. Hopefully they make more, because it was really, really fun to watch. It had the heart of the original Ducks. Oh, I should mention, Hans died in the third film, and they did mention that Jan passed away. He gave Gordon the Ice Palace, which is where they practice. So, yes. Well, in story, both Hans and Jan have passed away. No more House of Pepper and Eggs. Sorry. But, yeah. It was fun. I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of the original Mighty Ducks, watch this show. It is fantastic. So what are your thoughts on the Mighty Ducks, the Game Changers? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.